As many of you know, when I became a partner, in fact, before I became a partner, I'd made a name for myself as a fixer. I was a troubleshooter, which meant that if there was an engagement going wrong at the firm, there was a difficult client or a difficulty with a client, sometimes caused by the firm as well, I would be sent in to not just make the problem go away, but to bring things back on track. Because sometimes you can make the problem go away by having the client not complain, but the work hadn't been done. So not only am I going to meet new clients, I'm going to meet clients who are actually upset with the firm, and they're told that there's another partner that needs to meet with them, or they should meet another partner who has been brought in to manage things and so on. So oftentimes I'm sent to countries that are different from my culture. So I don't speak the language. That would be one start. I'm not always familiar with the cultural cues. I often look different from the people there. Sometimes I also may not have the sector background that I'm dealing with. I'm a strategy partner, but as you become an older strategy partner, you always have sector specialization. It's basically impossible not to have sector specialization as you become more and more senior in the firm. So I'm going into a difficult situation where someone's really unhappy. Not only are they unhappy, the work or whatever is happening is not being done to the standards they expect. And the first time I had that role, I remember very clearly it was a client in the metal space, and I was very young at that point. I was a senior associate, but at that time people could see I'm a bit of a troubleshooter. So they asked me, why don't you go speak to this client, things are not going well. And I was asked to do that by one of the principals who brought me in. And there was an engagement manager and another partner who didn't know me so well, but were also worried about how this client was responding. And they decided that they would go along for the meeting with me. And many things happened in that meeting, with many people giving their opinions and viewpoints and so on. And suffice to say, that was not a pleasant experience for the client or for us. Nothing was solved. I think we antagonized the client more than anything else. And I made an executive decision after that the next meeting I'll have it with the client alone. Now, what I want to teach you in the Executive Presence and Gravitas program is, how do you take a situation that's not going well and turn it into an advantage on your side? There's a certain technique, there's a certain playbook and approach that I use. And since then, every time I meet an important client for the first time, I go in alone. And I do certain things with that client that brings them onto my side. And then I follow up on those certain things. Because many times when we deal with teaching people how to have a presence and hold attention, we teach them from the basis that they have an opportunity to put their best foot forward. There's a clean sheet. You haven't been judged before. But as you progress in life, you're going to interact with people who know a little bit about you, or may have actually worked with you and may have a negative impression of you or your firm. And you have to have the ability and the skills to bring them onto your side when you've got to work with a deficit. So most programs that teach gravitas and executive presence, they're all about building some kind of credibility up front that gives you this on-ramp into a client. But oftentimes you've got a deficit that you're working with. And we'll teach you a technique that we've used extensively and we continue to use, and that we've taught our executive coaching clients, but we think that people would benefit from this ability.